Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Nothing shakes a man more than when a woman he once took for granted moves on. Not with noise, not with bitterness, but with peace. A man often doesn't grasp your value until your peace speaks louder than your pain. That's the truth most women don't realize until they've already done all the crying, all the begging, all the explaining, and still feel unheard. You see, when you're in the thick of loving someone, especially a man who's gotten too comfortable, you think if you just say it the right way, if you cry hard enough, if you show him how much you care, he'll finally get it. He'll wake up and say, wow, she really loves me. I better straighten up. But it doesn't usually happen like that. Most men don't respond to pain. They don't respond to tears or confrontation. They respond to absence. They respond to silence. And most of all, they respond to peace. When a woman stops fighting, that's when a man starts listening. But by then, it's often too late. He's already missed the quiet cues, the soft pleas, the moments where you were trying to hold it all together and still keep him close. You were trying to keep the relationship afloat while drowning in your own unmet needs. And all the while, he thought your cries were just noise. He thought your emotions were a phase. He thought you weren't going anywhere because you always stayed. But peace, that silent exit, that graceful walk into healing, that hits him different. Peace doesn't slam the door, it just stops opening it. It doesn't shout, it whispers, I've had enough. It's in the way you stop explaining yourself. The way you start choosing rest over chasing someone who won't meet you halfway. When a man realizes you're no longer emotionally available, not because someone else came along, but because you came back to yourself, that's when his head starts spinning. That's when he replays the times you tried to connect, the nights you laid next to him feeling emotionally alone, the mornings you made his plate, folded his clothes, and kept the house together while slowly falling apart inside. And now you're quiet. Now you're calm. And that peace is screaming at him in ways your pain never could. Because pain is expected. He's seen that movie. But peace is rare. Especially from a woman who used to love loud. A woman who used to fight for him. When that woman learns to fight for herself, it shakes a man at his core. Not because he suddenly became wise, but because he suddenly realized what he lost. He lost the woman who loved him beyond reason. And now that woman is no longer waiting at the door with hope in her eyes. She's gone. Maybe not physically right away, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually gone. And here's what makes it worse for him. Peace isn't something he can argue with. He can't fight it. He can't manipulate it. Because peace doesn't engage. Peace doesn't respond to late night texts or emotional outbursts. Peace doesn't ask for closure. Peace is the closure. And that kind of silence forces a man to sit with himself, to ask, how did I let this happen? How did I not see her worth until she stopped showing up for me? That's the echo that plays in his mind when he watches you from a distance, thriving, laughing, glowing in your freedom. And no matter how many women he entertains after you, none of them will have that power because it wasn't just about the love you gave. It was about the peace you became once you left. Men don't talk about it, but they feel it. They carry it. That moment when you stop being the woman who cried and start being the woman who healed without him, that's when your value hits him like a freight train. And not because you tried to prove it, but because you stopped trying to prove anything at all. You just became everything he didn't protect, didn't nurture, didn't see when he had the chance. And it stays with him. That memory of how you used to care so deeply, how you used to check on him, pray for him, pour into him when you had nothing left for yourself. He remembers, even if he never says a word, and it'll hit him at the most unexpected moments, in the quiet of his apartment, in the scent of your favorite candle, in the taste of a meal you used to make, in the sight of a woman who doesn't come close to matching your energy. It'll hit him not because you were dramatic or because you tried to make a scene, but because you left the scene altogether, peacefully, quietly, powerfully. A man often doesn't grasp your value until your peace speaks louder than your pain. And when it does, it speaks in a language he can't ignore. Your calm silence after chaos becomes his loudest wake-up call. A woman's silence, when it's rooted in peace and not punishment, becomes a mirror that reflects everything a man tried to ignore. When you've been through emotional turmoil with a man, when you've cried, yelled, begged, reasoned, and tried every way to make him see how his behavior was tearing things apart, it builds a certain storm between you, a storm he gets used to. He learns to ride it out. He expects the arguments, the passionate pleas, the tears that fall during late-night conversations. He starts to believe that as long as you're making noise, you still care. As long as you're reacting, he still has time. What he doesn't prepare for is the stillness, the shift, that moment when you no longer have the energy or the desire to explain yourself. That's when everything starts to change. See, the chaos between two people can be addicting, especially when it's mistaken for intensity. That cycle of making up just to break down again becomes a routine. But the day a woman chooses peace over pattern, that cycle ends. And that silence, it's not empty, it's not void of emotion. It's full of all the things she used to say, now packed into quiet resolve. When you stop calling, stop checking in, stop trying to get him to care the way you cared, he feels that. He may not show it right away, but make no mistake, it's there. It sits with him. It lingers in the spaces where your voice used to be, and it screams at him in a way your words never could. Because a woman who was once expressive, once emotionally invested, once always trying to hold things together, doesn't just go quiet overnight. That silence comes after she's exhausted every other way to be understood. That silence is earned through disappointment, heartbreak, and being overlooked one too many times. And when she gets to that place, it's not to punish the man, it's to protect herself. It's not a game. It's not manipulation. It's a boundary. A declaration that says, I refuse to keep tearing myself down to get through to someone who refuses to rise with me. And that's when it hits them. Not when you cry, not when you block them, but when you're unbothered. When you don't send that paragraph, when you don't react to the bait, when you see his name on your screen and feel nothing. That calm, collected energy you carry, that scares him. Because it means you've stopped centering him in your life. It means you've reclaimed your time, your energy, and your emotional capacity. And now, where there was once noise, there's peace. And that peace is loud. Men know what they're doing when they dismiss your feelings, when they downplay your needs, when they act like your pain is an overreaction. They know. They just never thought you'd leave. They never thought you'd grow tired. And more importantly, they never thought you'd do it so gracefully. They expected tears, but not transformation. They expected drama, but not detachment. That's the part that shakes them. The fact that you let go without needing to be loud about it. You just moved differently. You got quiet. You shifted your focus. You started living for yourself again. There's something powerful about a woman who no longer needs closure, who no longer waits for an apology or a change that never comes. She just decides to prioritize herself, to find her joy again, and to stop bleeding for someone who won't even acknowledge the wound. That decision doesn't come easy, but once it's made, it radiates. It shows up in how she walks, how she talks, how she smiles without force. And a man notices that. He watches from the sidelines, confused. He wonders why you haven't reached out, why you haven't reacted. He wonders who's giving you that glow now. He wonders if he ever really knew you at all, because this version of you, this woman who doesn't chase, doesn't plead, doesn't explain, she's a mystery to him now. And that mystery messes with him. Because when you were screaming, he could ignore you. He could write you off as emotional, dramatic, too much. But now that you're quiet, he's left alone with his thoughts. No more distractions, no more arguments to focus on instead of the truth. Just him and the silence you left behind. And in that silence is accountability. In that silence is the realization that he was given a love most men pray for, and he mishandled it. And now he has to face what that silence really means. It means he's no longer part of your story. It means you've written a new chapter without needing to burn the old one down. It means the chaos that once bonded you is no longer welcome in your world. The calm silence of a woman who has finally found her peace is louder than any storm she ever weathered. A woman moving on without bitterness exposes what he lost more than any argument ever could. There's a different kind of power in a woman who doesn't need to announce her exit with fireworks, who doesn't try to destroy a man's name on her way out, who doesn't seek revenge or validation from anyone else. That kind of woman, the one who simply packs up her love, her energy, and her spirit and walks away with grace. She leaves behind a silence that echoes louder than any breakup speech could. And what hurts a man most is not that she left, it's how she left. Not in pieces, but whole. Not in rage, but in peace. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. Bitterness gives a man something to argue with and gives him an excuse. He can point at your anger and tell himself she's just mad or she's being emotional. He can use your loudness as a shield, a way to dodge accountability. But when you don't give him anything to push back against, when you just leave with your dignity intact and your head held high, he's forced to face the truth. And that truth is this: he lost someone who loved him through things most people wouldn't have tolerated. Someone who stayed when she should have left, gave when she had nothing left, and believed in him long after he gave her reasons not to. He can't argue with your silence. He can't fight peace. He can't spin a story when the story is written in your strength and serenity, and that shakes him. Because when a woman moves on without bitterness, it means she's no longer trying to change him, save him, or fix what's broken. It means she's accepted reality. And acceptance, real acceptance, is a door that never reopens. When a woman walks through that door and doesn't look back, the man is left standing in a house he didn't know was empty until the warmth was gone. And here's the thing: men expect you to need them. They expect that even if you leave, you'll still watch their page, still ask mutual friends about them, still keep the emotional cord alive in some way. But when you move on quietly, happily, and without bitterness, that's when they realize the cord's been cut. You're no longer holding space for them. You're no longer editing yourself to be more likable, less emotional, easier to love. You've stopped performing. You've started healing. Healing doesn't come with bitterness. It comes with boundaries. It comes with lessons. It comes with the soft strength of a woman who's no longer searching for closure from a man who never gave her consistency. And when you embody that kind of healing, when your glow starts coming from within instead of being fueled by a rebound or revenge, it's undeniable. People see it. He sees it. He might act like he doesn't. He might stay quiet, avoid your stories, or pretend like he's too busy to notice. But he notices. He remembers the way you used to show up for him, the way you supported his dreams, the way you believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. And now, with you gone, and not just gone, but gone with grace, he finally feels the absence of that love. See, bitterness would have made it easier for him. It would have helped him justify his actions. It would have told him she's just upset. But peace doesn't give him that out. Your calmness holds up a mirror. It shows him what he missed, what he mishandled, and what he'll probably never get back. And that kind of regret hits deeper than any screaming match or emotional goodbye ever could. Because now he knows he had a rare love, and instead of nurturing it, he neglected it. And the woman who once fought for him, she's no longer fighting, she's flourishing. And flourishing is the ultimate truth. When you move on without bitterness, your life becomes the message. The way you laugh, the way you light up rooms, the way you're not jaded or cold, but wiser and more intentional, that's the message. It tells them you didn't break, you evolved. You took the pain and turned it into growth. And the next man, if there is one, will get a version of you that's stronger, softer, and even more selective. Not because you're guarded, but because you've seen what happens when you give too much to someone who gives too little. Bitterness would have kept you tied to him, but your peace, that freed you. And freedom is what he can't touch. He can't reach into your new life and disrupt your balance. He can't call you up and get the old version of you to come running, because that version no longer exists. You outgrew her, you outgrew him, and that's what burns the most. Not that you moved on, but that you did it with elegance, that you didn't need to be petty, that you didn't try to get even. You just got better. When a woman moves on without bitterness, she closes a chapter so thoroughly, the man doesn't even know where to begin if he ever tried to return. And that's when he realizes she didn't just leave his life. She outgrew the space he once occupied. And now he's watching from the outside, realizing he had everything and lost it to his own blind spots